my grandfather on my biological father's side had passed away. And my biological father he had just left town and was headed back to Wyoming, I believe is where it was, and was on the road, and somebody got in touch with him and told him what had happened. Well, he turned back around and was headed back to town for the funeral and stuff. Well, when he got back, I was already at the funeral home, and I was just really excited to see my father and get to hang out some more. So I was in a different spirit than he was, obviously. He was in a mourning state. I really didn't know my paternal grandfather that well. And so it was a different experience for me, but having my father back in town, I knew it was good for me because I got to see him again. But we had all gathered up at the house from the last chapter as a family, and we're having a big family get together. All the kids were playing, all the adults were standing around talking, cooking food and stuff, and we were in the yard. I wasn't playing with the kids because I knew that the time I had with my biological father still in town was short, so I wanted to spend as much time with him as I could. So I never left his side. I was attached to his hip the whole time he was back in town. Well, we're standing in the yard, and I looked toward the back of the house, and there was a line of trees back there past the backyard. And this was the first time that I saw something that wasn't there. I looked back there toward the trees, and I saw my grandfather. It was odd to me because, like I said, first time I ever saw anything, but I knew he had passed away. I knew he shouldn't have been back there. So it was interesting and confusing at the same time. And I nudged my father's leg, and I told him that I saw my grandfather back there. Well, him being an adult, he shrugged it off and basically told me I didn't know what I was talking about and I didn't see him, when I knew I did. But it started making me question things, because I'm a kid, he's an adult. What do I know? He knows better than I do. Did I see him? I don't know. I knew I did. But I was convinced by my father that I didn't. So it started a chain of disbelief, and I started questioning all the experiences I had had before, which felt very real to me. But again, what did I know? I'm just a crazy kid. So, moving forward through life, a couple of years go by, and my grandfather on my mom's side passed away. He was my best friend, and I lost him. We ended up moving into his house, there was no feeling there. In his house, there was nothing like anything I'd felt in our previous houses. So, questioning myself became easier because there wasn't that feeling to go off of anymore. We were out of the crazy house. Out of the crazy house is, I hadn't seen gremlins in a long time. I just kind of grew out of ghosts. And I just progressed through life and never looked back on it. Didn't give it another thought. And went on through life, went through high school, graduated, and I hit a very dark time. Some things happened in my life, and I wanted to get away, wanted to move, start life over, basically. So during high school, we had moved to a different city. And when I graduated and hit this dark period of my life, I moved back to my hometown. And I had a couple of friends that took me in. I lived with a friend here, a friend there. And then I found this group of people that knew who I was from back in my music days. I had a band in high school, and some of those people knew who I was from that, and they invited me to come hang out with them at their apartment. This is a bunch of high school kids that had their own apartment, and I decided to go over, party with them, hang out, get to know them more, and I ended up never leaving. I just stayed on the couch, partied with them all the time. This is also where I met Jimmy, my best friend from when I moved back to Carthage. We did all kinds of things there, and mostly it was gaming. We took shifts playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City on the PS2 and never turned it off. One of the things that all the people in this apartment liked to do was go out. I mean, we're always looking for trouble, looking for crazy things to do. So this group of people decided to go out and go ghost hunting. They wanted me to go, but I had grown out of that. I didn't believe in it anymore. Nothing was going to happen. I just was not interested. Nothing could convince me that there was something out there. And they would come back and they would tell me what they saw, and I would laugh, and I would tell them what they probably actually saw. I would debunk their hunts. And around the area where I'm from, Goat Man was a big legend. Everybody talked about Goat Man. Well, the apartment crew went out one night. They asked me if I wanted to go, and again, I told them no. Well, they went out, and they came back all excited, and they told me that they heard Goat Man. So I said, show me. I want to go see this Goat Man. And they said, well, we didn't see him, we heard him. I said, well, I want to hear Goat Man. Take me. I want to see it. When in the back of my mind, I was wanting to go out and just disprove him. So they took me to this cemetery out in the middle of nowhere, in a community around our hometown. And we're standing in this cemetery, and I had evaluated the surroundings, so I knew what was all around. And in the distance, you could hear hooves hitting the ground. And they got all excited. And they said, "Do you hear it? You hear it? There it is." And I said, "Oh yeah, I hear it. This is the sound. This is Goat Man that you're telling me." And they said, "Yeah, that's Goat Man." And I laughed. I said, "Do you not realize that this is a horse pasture that belongs to so-and-so, and he's got this many horses? That's horses running around the pasture. That's not Goat Man." So I was the Debbie Downer. I was the party pooper for the ghost hunting adventures that they went on. I got a kick out of it because I guess what I knew was in my past and the direction I had gone. I started thinking maybe this whole time all this stuff has been easily explained and I just didn't know it. Where was somebody like me now when I was younger? Somebody to tell me what I was seeing wrong or what I was hearing wrong. But there wasn't anybody. So life moved on. All the apartment crew went separate ways. Jimmy went into the Army and he shipped out. And I was going through another dark period in my life. I was working at Home Depot at the time and hit this dark period. And there was a guy I worked with that I had befriended named Justin. And he could tell that I wasn't myself and I was in a pretty dark spot. So he suggested, he said, "Hey, why don't we take a weekend vacation? Let's get out of town, clear your mind." I said, "That sounds like a great idea." So he had a friend that lived in Dallas that he said we could go up and stay with. We can have some fun in Dallas over the weekend. There's a really funny story involved with that I won't get into, but we went for Six Flags and Six Flags was closed. It's a much longer story than that, but that's the gist. Anyway, on the drive up, Justin asked me if I believed in paranormal and supernatural things. And I told him that at one point in my life I did. I had experienced some things, but I wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't, and that I no longer believe in it. And he said, "Well, what if I could prove you wrong?" I said, "There's no way you can prove me wrong." And he said, "Okay, when we get up here," he said, "there's a grove of woods where something very specific happens every time you go there." And I laughed. I said, "You're crazy. How long has it been since you've been there?" Years. It had been years since he had been. But he said, "It doesn't matter. It happens every time you go there." And I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what. If this happens when I go, I'll start believing again." And he said, "Okay." What he told me happens is you go into these woods and you will hear something that got thrown at you, something small. It'll whiz by you and it'll hit the ground near you, but you'll never see it. You don't know what it is. And I told him he sounded crazy. I had crazy stories of my own. Told him it wasn't going to happen. He said it happens every time. I said, "Okay, when it happens, I'll start believing again. But don't be disappointed when it doesn't and I don't believe you." So we got there, and he wasted no time. We got to his friend's house. We got out of the car, and he took off walking across the road. So I followed. Justin's friend came out of the house, and he automatically knew where we were going. So he joined in, and we started walking. And I told Justin, I said, I'm not hearing anything, man. He said, we're not in the spot yet. Hold on. We're gonna get to this certain grove of trees. So we kept walking. We kept walking. And I heard it. I heard something whiz by my ear, and it hit the ground, and I immediately looked down at the ground to see what it was. And they both looked at me and said, you heard it, didn't you? I said, I don't know what I heard. Let's just keep walking. And we kept going. Got a little bit ways down the path, and I heard it again. And I immediately looked at the ground because I'm trying to find it. Curiosity kills the cat. I looked down, trying to see it, and they both said, you heard it again, didn't you? I said, okay. Something's real. And that was the moment that my brain switched gears and said, maybe I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. There's something more out there, and it's time to find out what. I need some answers. We need to find out what this is. We need to find out what's going on. So Justin and I, when we got back home, started researching and looking for places for us to go.